Greetings, fellow rail simmers. Welcome to another Train Sim Classic video. Yes, it's Train Sim Classic 2024 again. They went back to calling it something numbered instead of just classic. Let's just keep it classic, man. Anyway, we're going to take a look at the new machine rail, what I'm going to call the high and wide or early high and wide railcar pack. Which you can pick up today. It's now available from Machine Rail, which I'll link down below if you want to go and check it out for yourself. But it's going to have multiple variations of depressed center flat cars with multiple, things that they carry. And then you're also going to get assets. So if you like to create scenarios and things like that, you'll be able to take these assets, like for example, these Sherman tanks on these flats, and put them in your scenario or your scene or your map or whatever you may be doing. So let's hop in and take a look at these suckers. All right then, guys, so here it is, what they're gonna call the 4-axle depressed flat car. I've always called them high and wide, whether they're old or new. But this is the pack, so it's gonna be about 11 bucks. So that's roughly the equivalent of the Auto Rack pack that they released, which was very, very badass. Although it was quite heavy performance wise, I guess due to the high poly trucks and cars on the auto racks themselves. But this, luckily with this is not a separate download, whereas with that you had to kind of download the assets separately to use them, whereas this is all in one pack, and it's like 400 megabytes, so it's not very large. So I think they've maybe figured out how to downscale things a bit so they're not as intensive data consumption wise and performance wise as well. But it's going to be about 11 bucks. I mean, to be honest, I don't want to say it's steep, but I'm going to say it's steep for one kind of rail car. Granted, there are numerous types of loads on this rail car, but we'll get in there and we'll see, and just check it out. Alright guys, we are on the move. Yes, I have the absolutely horrendous baby's first train set F4 HUD up, which I do not like with a passion. But I'm using the thing, switching to next reel, vehicle, and I don't remember the keybind, if there is a keybind. So yeah, that's why it's up. Pleb mode, peasant mode, engaged. Here we go. So depressed railcar, early high and wide railcar pack by Machine Rail. This is what you're going to get. I've got it all laid out behind this big beefy Challenger pulling us up here, going down backdated Sherman Hill. And this is the first car. So this is going to be the Army as-built variant, which is what it's going to be called within the editor. It's basically the freshie. It'll be denoted by just a cleaner appearance and the kind of white walls on the axles themselves, as you can kind of see there. But they look pretty good. I mean, they look pretty legit. I don't know exactly what these are supposed to be. I do know that a couple of railroads built them, as their own. That's weird. Sound keeps going out. Okay. So they may have a sound issue. That's not good right off the bat. Yeah, the railcar sounds have gone out. Cool. Alright, so continuing on. Yeah, I know Penzi built some of these, Southern Pacific, but I think these are tagged TPRX, which is basically Texas Power and Light, if that's what they're going for. So I don't know if they supposedly built them, for the Army and then other railroads, so on and so forth, but anyway, this is one of the ones you're going to get. This is the flat, just the simple flat. And it does look pretty good. It's got that nice kind of stressed, dimpled metal look to it. I know it's kind of hard to see in this cam, but I kind of wanted to keep it action oriented with the train moving here instead of just standing around talking about a train car, you know, because it's just a rail car pack basically. You know, but it's got some interesting font. Some of it looks a little weird, like it wouldn't be maybe era appropriate, like the BE end, you know, or the AN down there and the jack here. Like the font looks just a little bit off, like kind of old Wild Western-y, if you will. So I don't know about that. I don't know if these are supposed to be 100% prototypical. This is an interesting pack altogether. That's the wrong way. This is an interesting pack altogether because in their blog, I think it kind of denotes that this is going to be like the first of their unusual freight cars. So it's pack 1 of the line unusual freight cars, and they are indeed. It's like, you know, how often are you going to use these things is the key, and is that worth $11 or whatever your money is wherever you may live across the world? But it equates to about $11 US. So I don't know. I mean, the stuff is neat and fun, and we'll get down to it here in a minute. So I've laid 2 each out just to kind of spread the train out and make this Challenger work a little bit going across Sherman Hill. I keep going the wrong damn way. So the sounds keep cutting out. You can tell. So initially they were playing. Now they're playing again. That's not good. They keep cutting out. They sound pretty good. They sound old and they sound girthy. But they keep cutting out, so that's not a good thing. So here's one of the first that I just had to put on here. This is an absolute unit. Holy crap. I don't know what the hell that is. I know the military used several ginormous bombs that weren't specifically atom bombs, for example, but this thing is a unit, an absolute freaking unit. Look at the tail fin on there. It's modeled meticulously. It's got the bolts on there and everything, and the hook points or the winch points. The thing looks good. I don't know, like the only thing I can think of that big is like I know the Royal Air Force used some very giant bombs like that back in World War II, which I think this is supposed to be. So these cars are kind of dated for the 30s, but they would have been used well into the 50s and 60s probably. But some of the stuff is kind of questionable, although cool. I mean, that does look cool. You can see it strapped down. I mean, that is just a unit in itself right there. It does look pretty badass. We'll skip along to the next. The next one is the bomb, but it's covered, so it's just got some kind of useless tarp on there, I guess, so in case it rains it doesn't set the primer off and kabloomy. I don't know. It's got a tarp. Maybe it's supposed to keep out prying eyes, spies and things like that. So it's just a bomb with a tarp. We'll go to the next one. Next one's an old artillery piece. So these would have been used well into the 1900s. Geez, probably the 20s up into the 30s maybe. But as far as being in this pack, I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's not like you'd see these on a military train unless they were being taken somewhere for storage or something like that. That is an absolute unit of an artillery piece as well. And it's highly detailed. I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff all over it. The little twisty thing to I don't know the exact name to lift the cannon itself up and down, the chains. I mean, the wheels themselves, the spokes. It looks good. It's neat. Again, I don't know how practical this would be, but it's an option, and I guess it's always good to have options. Next up is just a big fuel tank, basically. Uh-oh, we're slowing down. We're headed up a grade now. So yeah, it's just a fuel tank. You'll get one of the civilian styles as well. I think it's just a standard fuel tank. It's not painted army green. So yeah, it's just a fuel tank. It's, these are all really good looking models. They look nicely weathered. And they're obviously not over the top. I'm getting 60 FPS right now with a high definition Smokebox Challenger, so this is no big deal at all. Let's go to the next. Back here we got the Army Jeeps. Now these are cool. I could see using these. I feel like these are kind of the bread and butter of the pack. These look very good. Again, highly detailed. Got markers and notation all over. You've got the kind of the hatchet and the shovel on the side there. They're all tied down. You got 5 apiece on there. Take a look at the axles and the coils. Those look pretty good as well. Yeah, axles and coils look pretty nice too. I'm not crazy about the font on there, the A-end and Jack here. It just looks like the late 1800s or something. It's I don't know. I feel like it wouldn't have looked like that. But again, I don't know if these are supposed to be 100% proto. Let's keep on scooching. And next, probably my most favorite thing out of the pack. Why are we stopping? The old Sherman tank. Look at this Betty. This thing looks legit, man. This thing looks absolutely legit. I don't know what series this is. Maybe an F, possibly, because it doesn't have the sloped front end. It's got kind of the more ricochet proof kind of look to it. But this thing looks really good. You got the 50 cal on the top of the Browning. This thing is just nicely modeled. And again, you can pull these off and just set them on the side as assets as well. Look at the chassis under there, all the detail there, the tracks themselves. Why are we stopping? This is only a 0.8% grade, and the thing is just pissing steam. I have it on auto engineer, by the way, so I could do this. You got your tie down points all up there, which is cool, so you can see the chains actually going to those. That's cool. Definitely do some like military tank trains. That's pretty badass. I do like these. That's my favorite out of the military style, and probably the most useful as well. Next up, we've just got the as-built kind of civilian style high and wide or depressed flat car, depressed center flat car. Again, they're TPRX, which I think is Texas Power and Light. I don't know if that's what they were going for here or not, but you can see it's as built. They've got the white walls as well, so these would be new, but they look good. They got the holes down there, not only, you know, for, I mean, drainage, I guess. I don't know why you need drainage, but mainly to tie things down, chains, ropes, stuff like that. Could go through each and every hole. You even got them on the side there. There we go. We're picking up steam again. Very nice. Now you can hear the sounds picking up again, and they sound pretty good, albeit a bit loud. So I did a couple of tests and had a couple of trains built up, doing a couple of quick pass-bys. And these things are pretty damn loud, rolling wise. Like, I feel like they could be toned down maybe 25%, because they just overpower a lot of the engines in the game, which isn't very cool. Next up, we got our little Porter, and that's very interesting, being that Machine Rail actually built and sold these, which is kind of cool. So I'm assuming that's pretty much right out of their wheelhouse, so to say, right out of their asset library, with the little Porters that they sold and still sell, if I'm not mistaken. Those were cool as hell. Big pack. Yeah, I don't know where they'd go, especially this day and age when this era is supposed to be, but it's just another cool little thing. And you can tell these cars have a lot of grime on them. These look really, really good. They look old, they look well used. You can see a lot of just soot and crap on there. We'll go back to that one. You can see how clean that is. Go back to that. It's just a lot dirty, a lot more dirty. So that looks very nice. I like the way that looks. Man, we're hauling ass now. This is a ship boiler. Now this is pretty badass. I like some of these as well. So this is kind of cool. I could definitely see something like this being used as well in train sim. Making up some trains and whatnot, headed to the ocean or something like that. I mean, again, the detail on these models is pretty insane. They look really, really nice. I don't know how super practical they would be to use, but they do look good. and it's certainly neat. Back here you have a ship diesel engine, again an absolute monstrous unit, which again looks very, very nice. So a marine engine, you can see the turbos on there. Yeah boy, love some turbos, very nice. All right, we'll scooch right along, and then we have some ship propellers, absolutely massive propellers. Again, they're in their little kind of box to keep the prop in place, keep it from spinning, and it's tied down as well. You can even see the bolt on the back end there where it's tied down. It's cool. I mean, like the gold on there just looks like, look at the brush kind of strokes on there from keeping the thing clean and grinding it down. It looks good, man. They do that kind of bare metal at Machine Rail very, very well. And then last and certainly not least, the transformers. These are pretty cool too. I think they call them a transformator in the in the asset library. Maybe that's what they're called, but I would think it's a transformer. Yeah, again, it looks good. It's got all the nice cooling fans all around it. It's just a good looking model. It's cool. You've got a lot of variety here. You know, I don't know like how much you would be able to use these things. I mean, it's Train Sim Classic. You can do whatever you want, obviously, but just in daily play or usage or anything like that, you know, you might be able to make a couple of the military trains and things like that with some tanks and jeeps. That'd be cool as hell for sure. Some of this other stuff, you know, you're not going to have massive trains made up of just this stuff in general. You know, you might see like these marine engines, one or two in an old train from like the 40s or 50s, or a boiler or something like that, but they're neat to have nonetheless. I'm assuming they're going to have another pack that's unusual freight cars at some point. You know, do I think it's worth 11 bucks? Don't get me wrong, it's not bad. This is not bad content. They look amazing. They sound pretty good, except for the sound cutting out thing. I don't know. It's just like how usable is it? You know, how practical is it? Is the thing I'm trying to bring home here. But they do look cool. So if you're into this kind of stuff, for sure. I mean, you can hardly ever go wrong with Machine Rail. Kind of like Diesel Workshop. They're, you know, they're brethren of Train Sim Classic stuff, but it's certainly some nice looking stuff. And with that said, I think I'll leave it there with you guys. Go and check it out if you'd like to pick up the pack. I'll link it down below as usual. But that is all for now, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.